The universe is vast, but sometimes two worlds collide in ways that defy imagination. What happens when the USS Enterprise, humanity's finest starship, is thrust into the Star Wars galaxy? When Captain Kirk, Spock, and their crew face the might of the Empire, the cunning of Darth Vader, and the shadow of the Emperor, strategy, courage, and the Force are put to the ultimate test. In this epic, what-if, adventure, technology meets mysticism, diplomacy confronts tyranny, and the fate of countless worlds hangs in the balance. Battles will rage, alliances will form, and the line between science and the Force will blur like never before. Buckle up as we journey into a galaxy far, far away, through the eyes of Starfleet's bravest. If you're ready for an unforgettable adventure, hit that subscribe button and join us. The story begins now. The USS Enterprise glided through the void of Federation space, warp engines humming with calm efficiency. Captain James T. Kirk stood in the center of the bridge, eyes scanning the vast expanse beyond the viewscreen. Routine patrols in the neutral zones were rarely eventful, yet there was an unease in the hum of the starship, subtle, but insistent, as if the universe itself had shifted beneath them. "Captain, I'm detecting an unusual energy pattern off the starboard side," Spock reported, his voice measured, calm. "It does not correspond to any known subspace anomaly." Kirk leaned forward. "Elaborate, Mr. Spock." The Vulcan's sharp eyes focused on the main display. "The pattern resembles a subspace rupture, but the energy dispersion is inconsistent with Federation models. If I am correct, the Enterprise is encountering a temporal spatial distortion unlike any recorded in Starfleet archives." "Could it be a wormhole?" Sulu asked, fingers hovering over the helm controls. "Unlikely, Lieutenant," Spock said. "This is something different. Its signature is chaotic, unstable, and extremely large. Calculations indicate it is expanding rapidly." McCoy's voice cut through the technical jargon, full of human skepticism. "I've seen my share of strange readings, Jim, but Spock's right. This thing doesn't make sense. It's like the universe hiccuped, and we're the unlucky byproduct." Kirk straightened, running a hand through his hair. "All right. Report all possibilities, but keep impulse engines ready. We don't know what we're dealing with." Suddenly, the ship shuddered. Alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the bridge. "Engineering." Kirk barked. "Status report." "Captain, the warp core is fluctuating," Scotty's voice came over the comm, tinged with panic. "Energy levels are spiking, we're being pulled. Something's dragging us off course." The viewscreen shimmered violently, stars stretching into elongated streaks. Crew members gripped consoles, trying to maintain balance as the Enterprise was sucked toward the anomaly. The colors around them twisted in impossible ways, blue and gold, then green and purple, like the very fabric of space itself was unraveling. Spock's voice held a calm urgency. "Captain, all systems indicate that the Enterprise is being pulled through an interdimensional corridor. Resistance is futile." Kirk's jaw tightened. "Helm, brace for impact. Evasive maneuvers may be ineffective, but do whatever you can to stabilize the ship." The ship twisted violently. Crew members were thrown into consoles. McCoy grunted as he grabbed the nearest rail. "Jim, whatever's out there, it ain't natural." And then, a flash brighter than 1,000 suns. The stars vanished, replaced by a new tapestry of constellations, unfamiliar and alien. The Enterprise lurched, and the bridge fell silent. Everyone stared at the viewscreen, disbelief etched into every face. "Where are we?" Sulu whispered. Kirk rose from his chair, voice commanding. "Open a channel. This is Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. We come in peace. We request dialogue to clarify our situation." The reply was immediate and cold. "There is no negotiation. You will comply with Imperial law. Failure to comply will result in destruction." The tension on the bridge was palpable. Riker clenched his fists, while Worf adjusted his posture, ready for battle. Troy's brow furrowed, sensing the hostility emanating from the Empire's forces. Red alert. Shields up. Weapons systems stand by. Kirk ordered, his voice steady despite the enormity of their predicament. The Star Destroyers unleashed their first volley of turbolasers. Green beams streaked across space toward the Enterprise, and the bridge shook under the impact. Shields holding, Data reported, analyzing the incoming fire. Their weapons output is optimized for capital-class vessels, but our shield harmonics are resisting critical damage. Riker leaned forward. They're not used to ships like ours. That's our advantage. Permission to return fire? Worf growled. Kirk shook his head. Not yet. Our goal is to survive, not escalate. Mr. Spock, give me tactical options that minimize loss of life. Data's fingers moved rapidly over his console. A precision phaser strike targeting the main weapon emitters of one destroyer would neutralize their offensive capability without destroying the vessel. Kirk nodded. Do it. A beam of orange energy lanced across the void. One destroyer's turbolaser batteries shorted, sparks flaring across its hull. The Imperial formation staggered, recalculating. Data's hands moved across his console, rapid and precise. Captain, we are no longer in the Milky Way galaxy. The star formation, elemental composition, and spatial orientation correspond to an entirely unknown galaxy. I cannot locate any records of this system in Starfleet databases. Picard's voice steadied, though a faint edge of tension crept in. Enterprise, it appears we have crossed into an entirely foreign universe. I repeat, all personnel, proceed with extreme caution. Before anyone could react further, proximity alarms sounded again. Worf growled, tension tightening his muscles. Multiple vessels approaching. Unknown configuration, multiple large ships. They are deploying rapidly toward our position. On the view screen, the bridge crew could see them, massive, triangular starships moving with precise military coordination. Their hulls gleamed in the alien starlight, and their sheer size dwarfed the Enterprise. Data's calm voice broke the silence. Captain, these vessels correspond to Imperial II-class star destroyers, highly advanced military vessels from an authoritarian regime. Their combat capabilities exceed anything the Federation has catalogued. Kirk's eyes narrowed. So they're not going to welcome us with tea and diplomacy? Unlikely, Spock said dryly. Their probability of peaceful engagement is extremely low. As if to confirm Spock's deduction, a cold, authoritative voice crackled across the communications channel. This is Commander Voss of the Galactic Empire. Unknown vessel, you are trespassing in Imperial-controlled space. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Riker muttered under his breath, now that's an introduction. Helm, follow their vector. Maximum impulse. Kirk ordered. The Enterprise surged, engines straining as it matched the Falcon's unpredictable maneuvers. Behind them, the Empire regrouped, sensing that this alien ship was not an ordinary opponent. Data's fingers flew across the console. Captain, probability of a stable return to our universe is decreasing. The anomaly that brought us here is destabilizing. Troy shivered. So we're trapped. Picard's gaze remained firm. No. We are explorers, gentlemen. And explorers always find a way. The bridge fell silent, the enormity of their situation settling over the crew. Ahead lay a galaxy ruled by fear, dominated by a power structure unlike any Starfleet had faced, and now, the Enterprise had a choice: engage, survive, and navigate a universe where diplomacy and science might not be enough. Starfleet diplomacy and Star Trek technology meeting Star Wars ingenuity and improvisation. It was an uneasy but effective alliance. Inside the rebel base, a group of human and alien figures awaited. Princess Leia, stern yet regal, studied the Enterprise's massive hull through sensors. Chewbacca growled softly, towering beside her. Han Solo piloted the Falcon with reckless skill, dodging Imperial fire with practiced ease. Kirk initiated communication. "This is Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. We come from another galaxy. Our objective is to survive and return home. We offer assistance, if it is acceptable to you." Leia's eyes narrowed. "You're a starship? A sentient vessel? I've heard of strange things, but this is beyond anything we expected." Picard replied, calm and formal. "We understand this is unconventional. However, our technology and knowledge may assist you in resisting the Empire. We have no desire to dominate or interfere unnecessarily." Leia hesitated, then inclined her head. "Very well. But understand this, the Empire does not negotiate. They destroy. We need every advantage, and perhaps, you are it." Meanwhile, aboard the Enterprise, Worf studied the tactical schematics projected by the rebels. Their fighters are fragile, yet fast. Imperial ships rely on overwhelming force. We must adapt phaser frequencies and shield harmonics to neutralize interceptors without harming their pilots. Riker grinned. "Worf, you sound like you're enjoying this." "Honor in battle," Worf replied. "Even in a foreign war, it is important." Troy sensed a disturbance, someone powerful approaching. A dark presence, vast and oppressive. Darth Vader's aura radiated through the Force, even at this distance. Kirk's voice was quiet but firm. "Data, prepare long-range scans. Identify any anomalies that could compromise the Enterprise." The Enterprise followed the Falcon through the alien starscape. Unlike warp travel, hyperspace was foreign to the ship, the engines strained under unfamiliar subspace fluxes, yet they held. Picard's hands gripped the armrests as he studied the alien galaxy unfolding before them. Each planet glimmered differently, each sun burned with a spectrum Starfleet sensors had never recorded. "Captain," Data said, voice steady, "I have analyzed the Falcon's trajectory. The vessel appears to be leading us toward a rebel base, likely an alliance against the Imperial Star Destroyers pursuing us." Riker raised an eyebrow. "Rebels, huh? Sounds like trouble." "More likely allies," Picard said. "But we must remain cautious. Any misstep could lead to war." Troy leaned forward, her empathic senses stretching into the void. "They are desperate. Fearful, yes, but not malicious. I sense urgency. Their intentions are survival, not aggression." Kirk nodded, considering. "All right. Let's see what we're dealing with." The Falcon weaved through asteroid fields and planetary debris, skirting patrols with uncanny precision. Sensors picked up Imperial interceptors attempting to flank the Enterprise. Worf's fingers twitched over weapons controls. "Captain, they are closing rapidly. Enemy craft are small, fast, and highly maneuverable." "Understood, Mr. Worf," Picard replied. "Target only if necessary. Data, monitor structural integrity. Riker, maintain shields at maximum modulation." From the view screen, a moon-sized fortress appeared, camouflaged against the dark side of a planet. The Falcon veered toward it, and the Enterprise followed cautiously. Turbolasers streaked across the void as Imperial fighters attempted to intercept the newcomers. The Enterprise fired phasers in precise bursts, disabling engines without destroying hulls, creating openings for the Falcon and themselves. Picard marveled at the efficiency. Data sensors flared. "Captain, a humanoid entity is approaching in a vessel larger than any capital ship we have catalogued. Likely intentions, hostile." "Vader," Riker muttered, realization dawning. "This is going to get very complicated." Leia's voice rang through the calm, "Captain Kirk, you will need to understand, the Empire does not play by rules. They are relentless." Picard nodded gravely. "Understood. We will comply with your tactical guidance to ensure survival." But we must also find a way to understand their technology and strengths. They are unlike any adversary Starfleet has faced. As the Enterprise and Rebels prepared, an uneasy alliance solidified. Starfleet precision met Star Wars daring, and both sides knew that the coming battle would test everything they understood about war, strategy, and the unknown. Above them, Imperial ships repositioned, and Darth Vader's looming presence cast a shadow over the galaxy. The stage was set, science and diplomacy would clash with power and fear, and the Enterprise had entered a universe where logic alone might not be enough to survive.
The Enterprise and the Millennium Falcon slipped through the upper atmosphere of the rebel-held planet, weaving past dense asteroid fields that dotted the system's edge. The alien constellation sparkled against the void like jewels scattered across black velvet. For a moment, the Enterprise's crew marveled at the alien beauty, a universe so different, yet oddly familiar in its vastness. Kirk leaned over the tactical console. Status report. Are we still clear of the Star Destroyers? Data's fingers moved across his console. Captain, sensors indicate that several Imperial vessels are converging on our position from hyperspace. Estimates suggest full engagement in approximately 30 minutes. Shields and engines are fully operational, but their firepower exceeds that of any vessel previously catalogued by Starfleet. Riker's eyes narrowed. So we've got time, but not much. Any suggestions, Spock? Spock's expression remained calm. Captain, the Empire's approach is methodical, with overwhelming force as their primary strategy. Direct confrontation would likely result in significant casualties. I recommend utilizing the Falcon's speed and maneuverability to draw their forces into a tactical trap. We can then employ phaser arrays in a pattern designed to disable key offensive systems without complete destruction, preserving the balance of the conflict. Troy added, the pilots are anxious, and fear is high among the rebels. Coordination is critical, Captain, or this could devolve into chaos. Picard, who had joined Kirk's bridge discussion through subspace communication, nodded gravely. Agreed. Precision, discipline, and unity are essential. We must maximize our capabilities while minimizing collateral damage. Imperial assault. Outside the planet's atmosphere, the first waves of TIE fighters launched. Their speed and agility surpassed any Federation fighter, swooping and weaving with lethal precision. Worf's hands flew over the controls, targeting phasers. At the approaching squadrons. Phaser volleys optimized for multiple high-velocity targets, Data announced. Probability of disabling enemy craft, 78% per volley. The phasers fired, beams of orange energy streaking across the void. Several TIE fighters exploded in brilliant bursts, while others spun out of control, forcing the remaining Imperial pilots to regroup. Yet the waves kept coming, relentless, tactical, and coordinated. Kirk's jaw tightened. Keep firing, but remember, the Empire will adjust. We must anticipate their moves. Leia's voice cut through the calm Captain Kirk. I don't trust these people, or these ships. But if we work together, we might just survive. Han Solo's tone was brash and confident, yet tinged with tension. Trust me, we're good at surviving. Just keep those big orange beams coming, and try not to get us blown to bits. Vader approaches. Through the chaos, a new presence emerged, Darth Vader himself, aboard his massive Star Destroyer flagship. The black silhouette of the vessel loomed larger than any ship the Enterprise had ever seen, its shadow stretching across space like a hand closing in. Troy's senses flared. He's close. Powerful. Dangerous. His anger is tangible, and it's directed at us. Kirk swallowed hard. Spock, analysis. Spock's fingers danced across the console. Captain, Vader possesses skills akin to combat-enhanced psychics, albeit using a combination of biological training and unknown energy manipulation. He is capable of influencing the battlefield in ways beyond conventional tactical understanding. Probability of successful engagement without casualties, low. Riker gritted his teeth. Then we improvise. A calculated gambit. Picard's voice resonated through the Enterprise comm system. Captain Kirk, I suggest using the Falcon's unpredictability to draw the Imperial fleet into an ambush zone near the asteroid field. Phaser arrays should be positioned to maximize disabling potential. This will allow both the Rebels and the Enterprise to strike strategically. Kirk nodded. Do it. Helm, follow the Falcon. Worf, maintain shield integrity. Mr. Spock, coordinate phaser fire with precision targeting. Let's give them a fight they'll remember. The Falcon darted ahead, weaving dangerously close to asteroids, forcing the Imperial ships into a chaotic formation. The Enterprise and Rebel fighters followed, maintaining tight coordination. Phaser beams lanced through space, striking engines and weapons arrays with pinpoint accuracy. The first Star Destroyers staggered, their formations breaking apart under coordinated assault. Vader's flagship fired its heavy turbo lasers, but the Enterprise's shields absorbed the brunt of the attack. Data adjusted frequencies on the fly, redirecting energy to reinforce critical points. Explosions flared in the distance as smaller Imperial vessels were destroyed or disabled, but the battle was far from over. A dire decision. Kirk studied the tactical display. We've slowed them down, but we can't keep this up forever. We need a decisive move. Spock's voice was measured. Captain, I recommend a simultaneous phaser and maneuvering strike aimed at the flagship's critical systems. The probability of success increases if we can coordinate with the Falcon and Rebel forces. However, the risk to the Enterprise and our allies remains substantial. Troy added, her voice tense. The cost may be high. Many lives are at stake. You must consider the moral implications. Kirk clenched his jaw. I know. But we came here to survive, and to help. We do what we must. The Enterprise surged forward, phaser arrays glowing. The Falcon zipped ahead, drawing Vader's attention. Rebel fighters circled strategically, creating distractions and openings. The battle reached a crescendo, lasers and phasers lighting the void, explosions shaking distant asteroid fields, and the oppressive shadow of the Empire looming over every move. Vader's presence was palpable, his fury rippling through the field, yet the Enterprise pressed on, blending Starfleet discipline with Star Wars improvisation.
Even against the oppressive might of Vader's fleet. A tactical gambit. Kirk turned to Picard, who had joined the bridge via subspace comm. Jean-Luc, we need an edge. Suggestions? Picard's eyes narrowed. Captain, consider a diversion using a localized gravitic pulse. It would mimic the effects of a spatial anomaly, destabilizing the Star Destroyer's flight patterns momentarily. It is risky, but the potential to turn the tide is significant. Do it, Kirk ordered. Helm, align for pulse deployment. Worf, ready phaser focus. Data, synchronize with Falcon maneuvers. The Enterprise's secondary deflector emitted a pulsing wave of energy. Imperial vessels shuddered as gravitational anomalies disrupted their formations. TIE fighters spun out of control, some colliding with each other. The flagship staggered, engines straining to compensate. Vader's control over the fleet wavered, just long enough for the Enterprise and the Falcon to strike decisively. An uneasy victory. The flagship erupted in a controlled cascade of explosions, disabling primary weapon arrays without destroying the vessel completely. Imperial ships faltered, and the remaining fleet began retreating under the combined pressure of Starfleet phasers and Rebel firepower. The battlefield fell silent. Punctuated only by the crackle of energy discharges and the distant echoes of TIE fighters limping back to regroup. Kirk exhaled, his hands loosening on the railing. Status report. Data's fingers moved rapidly across the console. Enterprise hull integrity, 97%. Shields at 78%. Rebel losses minimal. Imperial fleet has temporarily disengaged. Troy's eyes opened, her relief faint but genuine. The immediate danger has passed. Morale among our crews is high, though residual fear remains. Leia's voice came through, softer now. Captain Kirk, your assistance has saved many lives today. The Empire underestimated us, and underestimated you. Calm, Kirk, I hope you can keep up. This ride's about to get rough. The Millennium Falcon darted past the Enterprise, drawing a swarm of TIE fighters after it. The vessel's engines flared, leaving contrails of energy as it twisted in impossible arcs. Riker's eyes followed the maneuvers. They're insane. And somehow, it works. Data analyzed the Falcon's trajectory and adjusted phaser targeting in real time. Captain, synchronizing our weapons with the Falcon's path increases hit probability to 92% against isolated Imperial craft. Worf growled in approval. Precision and power. A combination the Empire does not anticipate. Leia's voice came through, calm but urgent. We cannot sustain this attack for long. Imperial reinforcements are on the way. We need a decisive blow, now. Vader strikes. Through the chaos, Darth Vader's presence became undeniable. The dark figure stood on the bridge of his Star Destroyer, hands clasped, sensing every movement in the battlefield through the Force. The Enterprise was unlike any opponent he had faced, its sheer size and technological sophistication were daunting, but it lacked the mystical connection he wielded. Still, the crew's audacity and coordination irritated him. Vader extended his hand. TIE fighters surged with renewed precision, guided by his influence. Sensors on the Enterprise began to flicker, strange gravitational distortions tugging at the hull. Phaser efficiency is decreasing, data reported. An unknown energy field is affecting power distribution. Kirk's jaw tightened. Spock, countermeasures. Now. Spock's fingers danced across the tactical console. Modifying shield harmonics to counter external fluctuations. Probability of full mitigation, 64%. Despite the challenge, the Enterprise held. Phasers continued to fire, disabling Imperial engines and cutting through their formations. The combined tactics of Starfleet and the rebels were beginning to tell. Han Solo's voice, always brash, carried a rare note of respect. Not bad for a bunch of science geeks. Didn't think you had it in you. Kirk allowed himself a small smile. All in a day's work. But this is far from over. The Empire will regroup, and they will return stronger. Spock's calm voice reminded him of the stakes. Indeed, Captain. This engagement has provided critical intelligence regarding Imperial tactics and vulnerabilities. However, their power and persistence remain formidable. The alliance solidifies. Kirk turned to his bridge crew. We've proven we can survive in this galaxy, but survival isn't enough. We need a plan, for the Empire, for the rebels, and for returning home. Picard's voice, steady and analytical, added, a strategic alliance between Starfleet's technological expertise and the tactical ingenuity of the rebels could alter the balance of power. However, caution is paramount. Any misstep could lead to catastrophic escalation. Troy's empathic senses warned her of lingering danger. There is more to come. The Force is strong here, and Vader will not forget. Kirk's gaze returned to the view screen, where the Imperial ships receded into hyperspace. Then we prepare. The Enterprise didn't come this far to retreat. Let's get ready for the next move, and hope that when the Empire strikes again, we'll be ready. The alien stars stretched infinitely before them, each glimmer a reminder that they were far from home. Yet, despite the uncertainty, one truth remained clear: in this galaxy, alliances, courage, and ingenuity would be the only weapons powerful enough to survive the darkness ahead. The Enterprise floated in orbit above the rebel base, its massive hull reflecting the twin suns of the alien system. Inside the bridge, the tension was palpable. The crew had survived the initial clash with the Empire, but the unknowns of this galaxy weighed heavily on them. Here, logic met mysticism, science confronted raw energy manipulation, and Starfleet officers struggled to comprehend the Force. Captain, Data said, turning from his console, I have been analyzing the unusual energy fluctuations emanating from certain individuals among the rebels. These fluctuations do not correspond to any known scientific principle. Preliminary hypothesis, a biological or neurological amplification of ambient energy, which may be the same phenomenon identified as the Force. Troy's expression was somber. Yes, it is powerful. And it can be dangerous, even unpredictable. I sense tension, fear, and curiosity intertwined. The Force affects not just physical outcomes, but decisions, intentions, and emotions. One misstep could have catastrophic consequences. Kirk rubbed his temples. So we're dealing with technology we understand and energy we can't. Lovely. Spock, standing near the helm console, interjected. Captain, while the Force appears metaphysical, its effects manifest in observable patterns. We may be able to analyze these interactions scientifically, though direct replication is unlikely. Caution is advised in both engagement and experimentation. Picard's voice came through subspace comm, measured and precise. Captain Kirk, the nature of this energy raises questions regarding causality and ethical application. If utilized improperly, it could destabilize entire star systems. Integration of Starfleet and Force-based operations requires careful planning. Mysterious visitor. A shuttle approached the Enterprise, sleek and angular, its markings unfamiliar to Starfleet sensors. Leia's comm rang through. Captain Kirk, we've arranged a representative to meet with you. He is a Jedi, a guardian of balance and wisdom. His name is Obi-Wan Kenobi. He wishes to discuss the implications of your presence and the role of your technology in this galaxy's ongoing struggle. The bridge crew exchanged glances. A Jedi? An actual practitioner of this Force? It seemed surreal, yet real. Kirk gestured to open the view screen. A hooded figure appeared, calm and composed, eyes piercing and attentive. His presence radiated quiet authority, and Kirk felt a subtle weight in the air, as if the man's mere being demanded contemplation. Captain Kirk, the figure said, voice measured, I sense conflict within your ship and among your people. You are outsiders, yet your technology and intellect hold great potential, and risk. The Empire seeks control, but the Force seeks balance. You must decide where you stand, and how you use your power. Kirk straightened. We're here by accident. We want to survive, and to help if we can. But I must admit, understanding your abilities isn't easy. They defy everything we know about physics and biology. Obi-Wan inclined his head. Indeed. The Force is not merely energy, it is a connection to all living things, a channel through which intention manifests. You possess knowledge and power of another kind, technology, discipline, and logic. Together, these can achieve great good, or invite destruction. Troy's voice was soft. He senses your intentions, Captain. And your caution. The Force can read the heart as much as it can manipulate outcomes. Kirk's gaze swept across his officers. We've faced anomalies before, but this is new. I say we proceed with caution and seek understanding. If the Force can be a tool for peace, we must learn its principles without losing ourselves. Training and insight. Over the next several days, Obi-Wan worked with the Enterprise crew, introducing them to the subtleties of the Force. Preparing for the next battle. The Enterprise reconfigured its systems, integrating insights from the Force where feasible. Sensors were recalibrated to detect disturbances, phaser targeting optimized to predict movements influenced by Vader's presence. Rebel pilots and Starfleet officers conducted joint drills, combining Star Wars instinct with Federation precision. Obi-Wan approached Kirk privately. Captain, you are wise to seek understanding rather than dominance. The Force may guide you, but the choices remain yours. The coming engagement will test courage, strategy, and morality. Remember, victory without wisdom is hollow. Kirk nodded solemnly. I understand. We've survived battles before. But this is different. This galaxy is alive in ways we've never seen. And the Empire won't stop. As the twin suns dipped below the horizon of the alien planet, the Enterprise and its allies braced for the inevitable confrontation. The galaxy teetered between hope and oppression, logic and mysticism, science and the Force. And in the heart of the void, a starship from another universe had become a new variable, a force of its own, untested and unpredictable. The journey had only begun. The galaxy beyond the Enterprise's sensors was no longer just a backdrop of stars and planets, it had become a living, breathing theater of tension. Every vessel in orbit around the rebel system carried the weight of imminent conflict. The crew of the Enterprise had adapted quickly to Star Wars tactics, but the looming presence of the Sith, embodied in Darth Vader, introduced a threat that could not be measured by phaser output or warp capabilities. Kirk stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the holographic display of the Imperial fleet. "How many vessels are we talking about this time?" Data's voice was precise. "Captain, current estimates indicate over 50 capital ships and approximately 600 support craft, including TIE fighters. Vader himself is aboard the leading Star Destroyer. Engagement in conventional terms would result in significant casualties on all sides." Troy's voice carried a warning. "The Force is disturbed. Vader is agitated, but he is also aware of our presence. He senses our knowledge, our technology, and the potential we represent. He will act preemptively, and his moves will be both strategic and ruthless." Riker stepped closer to the tactical display. "We're up against a battlefield genius who combines military precision with this energy manipulation thing. And we're supposed to counter that?" Spock adjusted his uniform and considered the data. "Mr. Riker, the key lies in integration. Our technology is superior in some respects, propulsion, shields, sensor resolution, yet insufficient to counter metaphysical influence directly. We must create conditions in which our scientific advantage neutralizes or limits his force-enhanced tactics." Kirk turned to the communications console. "Leia, any new intel from the ground forces?" Leia's image flickered to life. "Captain, the Empire is mobilizing every available unit to crush the rebels. But the Jedi advise patience and careful coordination. Obi-Wan believes that if we can manipulate." Kirk's hand hovered over the communication console. "He wants fear. He thrives on intimidation. We don't give it to him." Riker smirked. "Good. I never liked being told what to do anyway." Spock interjected, "Captain, emotional restraint is advised. Provocation may induce tactical errors in him, but our own errors would be catastrophic." The battle begins. The Enterprise launched its first salvo, phasers streaking toward the nearest Star Destroyer. Rebel pilots darted through the battlefield, using asteroid fields and planetary gravity wells as cover. The Falcon weaved unpredictably, drawing attention and fire away from critical areas. The battle was a dance, a blend of Starfleet precision and Star Wars improvisation. Data analyzed Vader's movements. He predicts standard tactics with high accuracy. Unconventional maneuvers are necessary to disrupt his focus. Probability of success increases significantly if we integrate adaptive strategies in real time. Kirk nodded. "Then we do it. Helm, mimic Falcon unpredictability. Worf, reinforce shields in sync with our maneuvers. Let's show him the Enterprise doesn't follow conventional rules." Vader, aboard his flagship, extended his hand. The Force surged outward, sending minor turbulence through the Enterprise's hull. Yet the crew adapted, phaser fire continuing in calculated bursts. Vader's Sith power gave him awareness of every immediate threat, but it could not fully negate the Enterprise's technological ingenuity. Critical choice. As the battle intensified, a message came from Obi-Wan. "Captain Kirk, you must understand, the Force is not merely a tool for victory. Vader's power is significant, but so too are the consequences of every action. You must decide where to intervene, and where restraint will serve the greater good." Engagement zones, we can leverage Vader's own overconfidence against him. Tactics and tension. The bridge was a hive of activity. Worf monitored shield integrity, adjusting energy distribution as Star Destroyers fired turbolasers in arcs that even the most advanced Starfleet sensors struggled to track. Phasers were recalibrated for high-velocity targeting, designed to hit fighters before the Force-guided TIEs could maneuver around them. Kirk leaned over Spock's console. "We need a plan that strikes decisively but minimizes destruction. The galaxy's future is at stake here, and we don't get second chances." Spock's fingers moved in precise patterns across the display. "Captain, a coordinated multivector approach may yield the highest probability of success. Utilizing gravitational distortions, combined with phaser bursts targeted at key engines, can force the Star Destroyers into positions where their offensive capabilities are minimized. Simultaneously, rebel starfighters and our personnel can exploit openings to create disarray." Troy added, "And you must consider the human element. The Empire thrives on fear, but fear can also be used against them. Coordinated morale and intention among allied forces will enhance our effectiveness." Vader's approach. Through the viewports, the massive silhouette of Vader's flagship grew larger, casting a shadow across the planets below. The Sith Lord's presence was overwhelming, a combination of sheer command authority, technological sophistication, and force-enhanced menace. The crew of the Enterprise felt it in every vibration of the hull, every flicker of the sensors. Vader's voice, cold and unyielding, transmitted over long-range comm, "Starfleet intruders, your presence is noted. Withdraw, or witness the consequences of defiance." Kirk considered the dilemma. He could strike decisively at Vader, possibly neutralizing the threat, but the resulting chaos could destroy both Imperial and civilian populations. Or he could seek precision strikes to disable systems and force retreat, minimizing casualties but prolonging the confrontation. Troy's empathic voice cut through. "The choice is yours, Captain. The Force and your technology provide opportunity, but wisdom must guide action." Kirk's eyes hardened. "Then we strike smart, not blind. This galaxy may not understand Starfleet ethics, but it will see our resolve." A turning point. The Enterprise and Allied forces executed a complex maneuver. Phaser arrays targeted engines and key weapon systems, while the Falcon and Rebel starfighters executed diversionary tactics. Star Destroyers staggered, their formations breaking as the gravitational distortions and phaser barrages disrupted coordination. Vader's flagship faltered, engines straining against both technology and unseen force manipulations. From the bridge, Kirk watched as chaos spread across the Imperial fleet. "Status, Mr. Data." "Captain, the flagship's offensive capabilities are reduced by 63%. Rebel forces are sustaining minimal losses. Imperial retreat is probable, contingent on continued pressure." Kirk's jaw tightened. "Then we hold the line, push them back, and protect the innocents caught in between." The galaxy seemed to pause, a delicate balance between science, strategy, and mysticism. And in the eye of that balance, the USS Enterprise had carved a place for itself, proving that even in an alien universe, courage, intellect, and teamwork could alter the course of history. Preparing for the next battle. The Enterprise reconfigured its systems, integrating insights from the Force where feasible. Sensors were recalibrated to detect disturbances, phaser targeting optimized to predict movements influenced by Vader's presence. Rebel pilots and Starfleet officers conducted joint drills, combining Star Wars instinct with Federation precision. Obi-Wan approached Kirk privately. "Captain, you are wise to seek understanding rather than dominance. The Force may guide you, but the choices remain yours. The coming engagement will test courage, strategy, and morality. Remember, victory without wisdom is hollow." Kirk nodded solemnly. "I understand. We've survived battles before. But this is different. This galaxy is alive in ways we've never seen. And the Empire won't stop. As the twin suns dipped below the horizon of the alien planet, the Enterprise and its allies braced for the inevitable confrontation. The galaxy teetered between hope and oppression, logic and mysticism, science and the Force. And in the heart of the void, a starship from another universe had become a new variable, a force of its own, untested and unpredictable. The journey had only begun. The aftermath of the battle left the galaxy's horizon scarred with trails of smoke and fractured starships, but it also opened new possibilities. The Enterprise hovered in orbit, its hull battered but intact, and the rebel base's inhabitants were cautiously optimistic. For the first time, the reality of Starfleet technology in combination with the Force demonstrated a strategic advantage against the seemingly unstoppable Empire. Kirk moved across the bridge, surveying the crew. "We've pushed them back this time, but they'll be back, stronger. We need more than reactionary tactics. We need allies, and we need plans that leverage every strength available to us." Spock stepped forward. "Captain, I concur. The probability of sustained resistance improves if we integrate Federation resources with Rebel intelligence and the strategic use of Force-sensitive operatives. A coordinated command structure must be established to optimize outcomes." Troy added, "There is also the psychological factor. Rebel morale increases when they perceive that Starfleet's presence is permanent, not merely a temporary intervention. Trust building is essential for cohesive operations." Leia's voice came through the communications channel. "Captain Kirk, I agree. Our forces need structure, strategy, and mutual respect. You have demonstrated your capabilities and earned our trust. We are willing to formalize a coordinated alliance, if your crew agrees." Kirk considered. "I think we have no choice but to accept. But we maintain operational independence. Starfleet principles must remain intact. We'll fight with the rebels, not for them." Han Solo grunted over the comm, "I guess I like that. You don't talk like a typical diplomat. Makes things simpler. Diplomacy in the midst of war." Meetings were convened aboard the Enterprise with key rebel leaders and Jedi advisors. Obi-Wan Kenobi, steady and commanding, outlined the philosophical and tactical principles of the Force. Leia stressed the importance of coordinated strikes and supply chain security, while Han Solo offered practical advice on guerrilla tactics and unconventional warfare. Kirk spoke, "We bring technology, sensors, warp propulsion, and long-range communication. You bring intimate knowledge of the galaxy, the Force, and battlefield improvisation. If we combine these strengths, we can challenge the Empire on multiple fronts." Spock added, "Captain, data integration between Starfleet systems and Rebel intelligence is feasible. By analyzing hyperspace routes, planetary defenses, and sensor readings, we can anticipate Imperial maneuvers and optimize engagement strategies." Troy emphasized, "We must also consider the emotional toll on all participants. Empathy, clarity of intention, and communication are as critical as firepower. The Force can sense fear, anger, and hesitation. Coordination must extend beyond tactics to the heart and mind." The shadow emerges. Despite the apparent advantage of the new alliance, the shadow of Darth Vader loomed large. From a distant Imperial command ship, Vader's presence radiated with precision and menace. Reports indicated he was personally leading a task force to strike rebel strongholds and to eliminate the Enterprise once and for all. Data reported, "Captain, Vader's fleet is reorganizing for a full-scale assault. Sensor readings indicate he is compensating for previous losses and employing unconventional maneuvers, likely anticipating countermeasures we might employ." Kirk's eyes narrowed. "So he's adapting. Good. That means we've forced him into reactive mode. But we can't rely solely on the advantage of surprise. We need contingency plans." Obi-Wan approached Kirk privately. "Captain, Vader is powerful, but not invincible. He is guided by fear, by rage, and by the remnants of his humanity. Exploit his overconfidence, but do not underestimate his capacity for strategy." Kirk's jaw tightened. Understood. We strike with precision, but we also keep the bigger picture in mind. Victory isn't just survival, it's balance, for your galaxy and ours. Strategic planning. The Enterprise's tactical officers worked alongside rebel strategists to map out the Empire's known positions. Warp trajectories, sensor grids, and planetary shields were cross-referenced with force-based predictions provided by Obi-Wan and other Jedi. The goal: identify weak points in Imperial defenses and create a plan that minimized civilian and rebel casualties. Spock calculated, by initiating coordinated strikes at multiple temporal intervals and utilizing hyperspace jumps for sudden redeployment, we can achieve disruption levels sufficient to force Vader's task force into reactive positions. Probability of partial victory, 83%. Probability of total annihilation, 12%. Recommendation: minimize direct engagement unless necessary. Kirk nodded. Then we move with care, precision, and intention. Our goal is not just to win a battle, but to change the tide. The galaxy needs hope. Troy's eyes scanned the mental landscape of those around her. The Alliance is ready, but they must believe in the purpose, not just the technology. And they must trust the Enterprise crew. Preparations for the next battle. Rebel pilots trained alongside Starfleet officers in combined maneuvers. The Falcon practiced high-speed evasion patterns, weaving through asteroid belts while the Enterprise coordinated long-range targeting. Phasers were recalibrated to work in conjunction with blaster fire, maximizing suppression of enemy fire while minimizing collateral damage. Obi-Wan Kenobi worked with Troy and select Starfleet officers on integrating awareness techniques with sensor arrays, allowing the crew to anticipate movements influenced by the Force. Data meticulously logged every anomaly, creating predictive models that could be referenced in real time. Kirk stood on the bridge, surveying the assembled teams. We've learned, we've adapted, and we've prepared. Vader is a threat unlike any we've faced, but we are not without our own strengths. Let's show him that the Enterprise and the Alliance are not to be underestimated. Spock added, Captain, the probability of success increases exponentially with coordination, precise timing, and disciplined execution. The opportunity to shift the strategic balance is at hand. Troy spoke last, her voice calm yet urgent. The Force flows through all of this. But it will only guide, not force. The choices, the courage, and the wisdom of your crew, and the rebels, will determine the outcome. Kirk's eyes swept across his crew, then the viewscreen showing the distant, looming Imperial fleet. Then let's make history. The galaxy held its breath. Stars shimmered in silent anticipation. The Enterprise, far from its own universe, had become a pivotal force, a beacon of strategy, courage, and diplomacy in a galaxy teetering on the edge of oppression and chaos. And the shadow of the Sith loomed ever larger, waiting for the moment to strike. To reduce predictability. Kirk nodded. Do it. Helm, set course for Delta, but keep us ready to jump at a moment's notice. Worf, shields at maximum. Phasers ready to fire on my mark. The first salvo of phaser fire streaked through space, coordinated with rebel starfighters weaving unpredictably between the star destroyers. Turbolaser fire from the Empire was accurate, but the Enterprise's advanced shields absorbed most impacts. Still, every second of exposure was tense, even a minor miscalculation could spell disaster. Obi-Wan's voice transmitted through comm channels. Remember, your actions influence more than the physical battlefield. The Force reacts to intent, emotion, and conviction. Maintain clarity of purpose. Kirk's jaw tightened. Understood. Keep your heads clear, and trust your training. Vader's response. From the command bridge of the Star Destroyer Executor, Darth Vader's presence radiated with an oppressive authority that chilled even the strongest minds. He extended his hand subtly, sending a wave of Force energy toward the Enterprise and its allies. Sensors shuddered, and several consoles registered minor anomalies, systems flickered, weapons misaligned, and even the phaser targeting arrays hesitated. Data observed the readings. Captain, the anomalies are consistent with a concentrated force disruption. It is directly influencing electronic systems, but not sufficiently to cause permanent damage. Adaptation protocols should compensate. Kirk's voice was steady. Data, keep adjustments running continuously. Helm, maintain evasive maneuvers. Worf, focus on countermeasures. We've dealt with worse anomalies than this, and we're not about to lose now. Troy interjected, her tone urgent. The Force is strong here. Vader is trying to anticipate our every move. He is, testing, probing. We must respond without fear. The cold void of space stretched endlessly before the Enterprise as it approached the outer perimeter of the Imperial fleet. Stars streaked past the viewport, dwarfed by the looming silhouettes of Star Destroyers and TIE fighters converging on the Rebel system. The air inside the Enterprise was taut with anticipation. Even seasoned officers felt the unspoken weight of confronting the Emperor's enforcers directly. Kirk stood at the center of the bridge, his fingers clasped behind his back. All right, people, this is where strategy meets chaos. We've prepared, we've trained, and we know the stakes. Let's make every move count. Spock's gaze remained fixed on the tactical display. Captain, the Empire has established overlapping sensor grids. Approaching undetected is improbable. Their fleet is extensive, disciplined, and coordinated by a command structure designed to anticipate anomalies. Any engagement must account for both technological and force-influenced factors. Troy's voice trembled slightly, betraying her concern. The Force is turbulent. Vader is aware of us, and I sense anger, frustration, and determination. He may attempt preemptive attacks on both the Enterprise and the Rebel forces. We must be prepared for unorthodox maneuvers. The first strike. The Enterprise initiated a tactical warp maneuver, positioning itself within striking distance of the Imperial fleet while remaining just outside effective fire range. Sensors indicated minor fluctuations in subspace, a likely result of Vader's own manipulations of the Force. The crew felt it, subtle, almost imperceptible ripples that seemed to tug at the edges of thought and focus. Data's calm voice broke the tension. Captain, enemy formations indicate readiness to engage at maximum intensity. Probability of partial fleet engagement within 15 minutes, 78%. Recommendation, initiate first strike at point Delta, then execute hyperspace displacement. A tactical gamble. Kirk made a decision that required both courage and instinct. All right. We'll split the fleet. Rebels and the Falcon take the left flank, drawing Imperial fighters. The Enterprise will execute a precision strike targeting the command bridge of the Executor, phasers set for maximum concentration, shields down for a moment to concentrate output. Spock, you coordinate timing. Spock's fingers flew across the tactical console. Captain, the timing window is extremely narrow. Deviation of even 0.3 seconds could result in catastrophic failure. Probability of success, 58%. Probability of collateral damage, 21%. Recommendation, execute only if the alternative is engagement under suboptimal conditions. Kirk's eyes narrowed. We'll take the risk. We don't have the luxury of waiting. Everyone, trust your training and instincts. Obi-Wan's voice came through again, calm but resolute. Captain Kirk, your decision aligns with both strategy and intent. The Force will flow with your actions if your purpose remains clear and true. Act decisively, yet without malice. The heart of the battle. The Enterprise surged forward, phasers firing in sustained bursts. Rebel fighters darted in unpredictable patterns, forcing TIE interceptors into defensive positions. Vader's Star Destroyer faltered slightly as phaser fire concentrated on vital systems, engines sparking from precise hits. But the Sith Lord was not idle. He projected a surge of the Force outward, reaching into the minds of pilots and crew alike. Data calculated patterns, adjusting targeting and navigation systems in real time, but even he could not entirely negate the psychological influence of Vader's presence. Troy's voice was urgent. Concentration must be absolute. His influence is attempting to induce doubt and hesitation. We cannot allow fear to interfere with tactical execution. Kirk's hand hovered over the command panel. We've trained for this. Focus on the mission, not the intimidation. Now, fire. Phasers struck true, the concentrated energy ripping through the command bridge's defenses of the Executor. The flagship shuddered under precise hits, systems overloaded, and the Sith's fleet was thrown into temporary chaos. Rebel pilots seized the moment, pressing the advantage while the Enterprise performed evasive maneuvers to avoid retaliatory fire. A critical moment. Vader sensed the sudden shift. His hand extended, trying to destabilize the Enterprise's systems directly, but the combination of Starfleet technology and Jedi guidance countered his influence. The tension in the bridge was electric, every crew member felt the weight of this unprecedented confrontation. Kirk's voice was calm but commanding. Hold steady. Concentrate fire on the engines. Once we disable their mobility, we'll force retreat. Spock, Data, monitor energy output and compensatory adjustments. Everyone else, keep the fleet coordinated. The Executor's engines faltered under the barrage, giving the rebels the opening they needed. TIE fighters scrambled, Star Destroyers lost cohesion, and Vader's attempt to regain control was momentarily thwarted. Obi-Wan's voice rang through comms. Well done, Captain. But remember, the battle is ongoing, and the Force is patient. Victory is measured not just in destruction, but in balance restored. Kirk's eyes met his crew's, determination burning. Then we finish this. Not with hatred, but with precision, courage, and teamwork. Let's show the Empire that even the darkest shadows cannot withstand light and strategy combined. The galaxy held its breath, and the Enterprise pressed onward, a symbol of hope, ingenuity, and alliance across realities. The calm that followed the initial clash was deceptive. From the distant reaches of hyperspace, a new presence announced itself, the Emperor, Darth Sidious, orchestrating the next move from the shadows. His influence extended like a dark tide, subtle yet insidious, twisting the political currents of the galaxy and testing the limits of both the rebels and the Enterprise crew. Kirk stood at the center of the bridge, staring at the sensor readouts. Spock, what are we seeing? Spock's fingers moved rapidly across the console. Captain, energy fluctuations are inconsistent with any known Starfleet or Rebel technology. Analysis indicates an external source of manipulation, likely a powerful intelligence exerting influence through multiple channels, both electronic and psychological. Probability of this being a singular entity, 92%. Recommendation, extreme caution. Troy added, her tone tense. The force here is oppressive. There is anger, but also a calculated patience. The presence is observing, waiting for us to make a mistake. He does not strike impulsively, he manipulates outcomes to his favor. Kirk exhaled sharply. Then we adapt. We anticipate. This is not just about survival, it's about strategy, diplomacy, and timing. Data, prepare contingency simulations. We need every possible scenario mapped. A dangerous communication. Suddenly, the communications console lit up. A dark holographic figure appeared, Emperor Palpatine, his eyes glinting with malevolent intelligence. His voice was calm, deceptively persuasive. Captain Kirk, you traverse a galaxy not your own. You wield technology and intellect beyond comprehension, yet you are naive in understanding the Force. Your allies are fragile, and your methods, though admirable, are predictable. Kirk's hand hovered over the console, then steadied. We do not negotiate with tyranny. If you wish to test us, you will find the Enterprise and her crew unwavering. The Emperor's thin smile widened. Ah, but testing is merely an opportunity for education. You may yet prove useful. Or you may fall. The choice is not yours, Captain, it is dictated by consequence. Spock interjected, his voice steady. "Captain, the Emperor's presence is creating interference patterns across our sensor networks. Tactical and communications systems are compromised. He is attempting to predict and manipulate our strategic decisions in real time." Kirk's eyes narrowed. "Then we don't react on instinct alone. We use strategy, coordination, and unpredictability. No one can control our decisions entirely, not even him." Preparing for the ultimate confrontation. The Enterprise and Rebel Alliance convened a council. Leia, Obi-Wan, Han Solo, and Chewbacca joined the Starfleet officers on the bridge, their expressions resolute. Obi-Wan spoke first. "The Emperor is not merely a tactical adversary. His power derives from manipulation, deception, and the dark side of the Force. Direct confrontation without preparation will be catastrophic." Leia added, "We've seen his reach before. Our only chance is to disrupt his network of control, isolate the task forces, neutralize key Imperial positions, and create openings where the Force's influence is diminished." Kirk leaned forward. "Then we combine everything, Starfleet technology, Rebel tactics, and the guidance of the Force. Data, simulate all possible outcomes and identify the paths that maximize disruption while minimizing risk. Spock, coordinate with Obi-Wan and the Jedi to anticipate Force-influenced maneuvers." Troy's eyes scanned the assembled crew. "We must remain emotionally disciplined. The Emperor will exploit fear, anger, and doubt. Unity and clarity are our shields." The battle unfolds. The combined fleet moved with precision, weaving through hyperspace corridors and employing unconventional formations designed to confound Imperial sensors. Starfighters and Enterprise shuttles acted as diversionary elements, drawing enemy fire while the Enterprise executed concentrated phaser and torpedo strikes on critical targets. Vader, sensing his master's observation, pressed harder. He extended the Force outward, attempting to destabilize command, navigation, and morale on the Enterprise. Systems flickered, targeting arrays misaligned, and even the most disciplined officers felt subtle unease. Troy called out urgently, "Captain. The Force is intensifying. His focus is on exploiting our hesitation. Any delay could be catastrophic." Kirk's voice was calm, resolute. "Steady. We've prepared for this. Worf, shields at maximum. Data, recalibrate phaser arrays in real time. Spock, monitor deviations and provide immediate adjustments. Obi-Wan, guide our perception and anticipate his movements." The Emperor's Gambit. From his throne aboard the Death Star II-class command vessel, the Emperor manipulated events like a chess master. He anticipated diversions, predicted countermaneuvers, and sought to divide the Alliance's attention. Yet he underestimated Starfleet ingenuity. Data's calculations adapted continuously, compensating for both technological interference and Force-induced anomalies. Spock's logic anticipated probabilistic outcomes, while Kirk's intuition filled gaps that computers and calculations could not account for. Leia's voice rang over the comms, steady and commanding. "Strike at their control centers simultaneously. We create confusion, reduce coordination, and give our forces the edge. This is our chance." The combined assault tore through the Imperial fleet's periphery. Star destroyers faltered under precision strikes, and isolated units of TIE fighters were cut off from command. But the Emperor's influence was far from neutralized. Subtle manipulations threatened to undo progress at every turn. Critical choice. Kirk faced a moment that would define the entire campaign. The Emperor had isolated a segment of the Enterprise's crew through Force-influenced deception, attempting to lure them into disarray. Simultaneously, key Rebel bases faced overwhelming Imperial counterattacks. Kirk's hand hovered over the command console. "We can split our forces, save the bases but risk exposing ourselves to the Emperor, or concentrate on neutralizing his command vessel and gamble on the others holding." Obi-Wan's calm voice cut through. "Captain, the balance of the Force favors coordinated intent. If your decision is guided by clarity, courage, and purpose, the risk can be managed. Spock interjected, probability of success in neutralizing the Emperor directly, 39%. Probability of success through defensive engagement while maintaining fleet cohesion, 67%. Kirk exhaled, voice steady but firm. Then we do both. Split teams, coordinated strikes, and maximum efficiency. Everyone, trust in your training, your allies, and your instincts. This is what we came here to do, protect this galaxy, no matter the cost. The galaxy trembled as the combined might of Starfleet and the Rebel Alliance surged forward, preparing to confront the Emperor himself. Every calculation, every maneuver, every choice had led to this moment, the ultimate confrontation where technology, strategy, and the Force would collide in an unprecedented struggle for balance, survival, and the future of countless worlds. The space surrounding the Emperor's command vessel was a maelstrom of tactical chaos. Star destroyers rocked under concentrated phaser fire, TIE fighters twisted through the void attempting to intercept the combined fleet, and the Enterprise cut through the midst with a precision that defied the galaxy's expectations. Kirk stood at the center of the bridge, every fiber of his being focused on the battle. Data, Spock, adjust shields and phaser arrays simultaneously, anticipate any Force interference. Worf, all hands on defensive positions. We hold our line, no matter the cost. Spock's voice was calm yet urgent. Captain, the probability of survival under continuous Force manipulation has decreased by 8%. Recommendation, proceed with caution, but do not halt offensive operations. Troy's gaze swept the crew. The Force is volatile here, but it can guide us if we remain clear of fear, anger, or doubt. Concentration and unity are our greatest weapons. Obi-Wan Kenobi's calm presence echoed across comms. Captain Kirk, your actions will influence not just the physical battlefield, but the moral and psychological tides of this galaxy. Act decisively, yet maintain the balance. The Emperor's final move. From his throne aboard the dark, looming vessel, the Emperor unleashed a wave of Force energy across the battlefield. Systems flickered, communications were disrupted, and several rebel fighters were thrown into disarray. His presence was palpable, a suffocating shadow stretching across the stars. Leia's voice cut through the tension. Stay focused. We can withstand this. Trust in the Enterprise, trust in each other, and trust in the Force. Kirk clenched his jaw. We've come this far. Nothing can break us now. Helm, evasive maneuvers. Phasers ready. This ends today. Data's analysis was precise. Captain, probability of neutralizing the Emperor's command without significant fleet losses, 27%. Probability increases to 61% if concentrated strike teams target critical control hubs in conjunction with distraction maneuvers. Kirk nodded. Then that's our path. Full execution, no hesitation. Strike teams in action. Enterprise shuttlecraft and rebel fighters pierced the chaos, targeting the Emperor's control hubs with surgical precision. Lightsaber-wielding Jedi, including Obi-Wan, coordinated their efforts with the crew, neutralizing threats that no technology could fully predict. Phaser beams converged on command points, and the combined assault began to unravel the Emperor's carefully orchestrated strategy. Star destroyers faltered as systems were disabled, and key TIE squadrons lost coordination. Vader, sensing the shift, accelerated his offensive. His red lightsaber slashed through rebel ranks in boarding actions, and his mastery of the Force threatened the very integrity of the Enterprise's tactical operations. Kirk's voice rang through the chaos. Hold your ground. We finish this together. Troy's guidance was immediate. Captain, Vader is attempting to manipulate fear and aggression. Focus on discipline, direct engagement with measured intent neutralizes his advantage. The turning point. In a calculated move, Kirk ordered the Enterprise to enter a concentrated orbit near the Emperor's vessel. Data, Spock, synchronize all energy outputs with rebel strikes. This is the decisive moment. Obi-Wan led Jedi teams aboard enemy vessels, countering Imperial officers and Force users alike. Rebel pilots seized openings in the fleet, striking with precision previously impossible against such overwhelming numbers. The Emperor, frustrated by the disruption of his plans, unleashed a final wave of dark force energy, but it was met with a combination of Starfleet phaser beams, coordinated rebel fire, and Jedi intervention. The Emperor's vessel shuddered. Systems sparked, shields failed, and for the first time, his calculated dominance faltered. Vader attempted a final confrontation with the Enterprise, but Kirk, relying on intuition and crew precision, executed a maneuver that evaded direct engagement while preserving fleet integrity. Aftermath and reflection. As the smoke and debris cleared, the combined fleet held victory. The Emperor's direct influence was disrupted, and key Imperial forces were incapacitated. Vader, retreating with surviving forces, recognized the unprecedented resistance he faced, a galaxy uniting against tyranny in ways even the Sith could not predict. Leia stood aboard the Enterprise's observation deck, her expression resolute. This victory is not just tactical. It is symbolic. Hope endures, and the galaxy sees that unity and strategy can overcome fear and oppression. Kirk nodded, looking out at the stars. We came from another universe, yet together we've changed the course of this one. The Enterprise crew has faced challenges no one else could, and we've stood alongside heroes from a galaxy very different from our own. Spock added, Captain, the synthesis of Starfleet methodology and force-guided intuition demonstrates that diverse approaches yield superior outcomes. Collaboration across realities may indeed represent the next evolutionary step in strategic planning. Troy's gaze was soft but firm. And the Force, even here, reminds us that balance is not achieved through power alone, but through clarity, courage, and unity. Kirk placed a hand on the console. Then let's ensure this galaxy never forgets, courage, intelligence, and partnership can overcome even the greatest darkness. The stars beyond the viewport gleamed with quiet promise. Across realities, the Enterprise had not only survived but reshaped destiny. The journey back home would be long and uncertain, but the lessons learned would echo through the universe, proof that when technology, strategy, and heart unite, even the impossible becomes attainable. The galaxy, forever altered by the Enterprise's arrival, entered a new era of resilience and collaboration. The Emperor's reach was diminished, his control disrupted, and the oppressive hand of the Empire held in check by an unprecedented alliance of Starfleet precision, Jedi guidance, and rebel tenacity. Captain Kirk and his crew had traversed not just space but the moral and philosophical landscapes of another universe, adapting principles of strategy, ethics, and unity in ways their own Federation had never encountered. They had faced challenges that defied physics, technology, and perception, yet emerged victorious through intelligence, courage, and the indomitable spirit of cooperation. The rebels, inspired by the Enterprise's presence and the courage of its crew, gained confidence and capability, forging a path toward lasting resistance against tyranny. Jedi philosophy intertwined with Starfleet ideals, creating a model for cross-cultural and cross-reality collaboration that would resonate for generations. As the Enterprise prepared to return to its own galaxy, Kirk reflected on the journey, a mission not merely of survival or combat, but of understanding, diplomacy, and the boundless potential of combining strengths across worlds. The galaxy had been forever changed, and so had those who ventured into its heart.